I know I've mentioned many times, so regular listeners have heard me talk about how I work in jails and prisons, and I get to see, um, the role of psychiatrists in those settings, and just how casually drugs are prescribed in that setting. And so there's a lot I could say about that, but the one thing I want to say right now is I had an experience recently where I was working with a group of ladies, and this one lady came in and she said, "I'm so high right now." I mean, her exact words were, "I'm high as fuck right now," is what she said.
Well,
And
I can relate.
right. And the way she was acting, I mean, yeah, she was high.
Yeah.
Um, but and I forget exactly which one. I got to recover the name of it, but she was taking an antidepressant at a
Yeah,
pretty
high
high
dose
dose.
that triggers
Yep.
mania. That's basically it.
Exactly,
She was high
exactly.
on serotonin. But
Yep, she was
yeah,
high on serotonin, exactly, and yet what was so interesting and why this was kind of a revelatory moment for me was because she is a drug addict. She is in there on drug charges, and she has a lot of experience doing various street drugs, which means that she knows what it feels like to be high, and she
even
knows to call it that. She understands that she took a drug and it made her high. She's done that 1,000 times, and
yes,
she wasn't kind of, under the spell of, like, prescriptions, and how this is maybe now I'm in a balanced state, and like I said, it was just revelatory for me because if you take a person who doesn't have a lot of experience with street drugs or, of
you
course,
don't
like a
know.
child, they would never interpret that effect as them just being high. They would interpret it as the drug working or that they feel better. So to me, you almost kind of need a certain level of drug experience to really recognize the effects of the drug for what it really is, which is just a psychoactive, an altered psychoactive state.
Yes, if you were like selling those drugs in the powder form on the street and people
Right.
would take it and they will had quicker effect than after 2 weeks, people were and they are even there. Those drugs are on the black market and they are marketing as a
True.
serotonin booster. So it, like it's just a tomato. Like you can call
Right.
it. Yeah, but and I had very similar experience, because back then when I was studying, I had practice in a not in a psych ward when they were treating people with addictions, like
Mhm.
rehab center, and
Uh-huh.
when they have this withdrawals from alcohol or amphetamines, they were prescribed by the psychiatrist antidepressants to ease the pain. And
Mm.
and I heard the same from one of the patients that, wow, dude, I'm so high on this trazodone. Wow, I
Mm.
have some wild dreams. What's going on? Those pills are doing insane. And I it's like, exactly, those are, psychoactive substances that are being legally prescribed. So
Yep.
the
And
same
some
applies to,
people.
medical marijuana. Right now in Poland we have legal weed, but it's the same street drug, but with
Right.
some marks that, okay, you can treat, like, I don't know, cancer or some neuropathic pain, but it's still, you're
You're
still
gonna
being high on all these substances. So it's like,
right. Right.
it's obvious for me right now, but back then I had the same thing, that since I'm being prescribed by the doctor, it's not a drug, it's a medicine.
Exactly. And
Yeah,
and therefore it can't just be a high.
yeah,
It's, a cure maybe.
like, yeah, it's a
Um,
cure. It's supposed to feel, you're supposed to feel like that, because your imbalance has been restored. And when I speak with people, because here in Poland there is also a crisis, the people, like 10% of the population taking those meds. And I met a lot of them, and when I was talking, I felt this, this barrier between them, this shift in mindset, that, okay, when I was mentioning about quitting those antidepressants, no, 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 I need to take this forever. My doctor told me so, and I quit them once, and I felt terribly low, so I'm not ready for them. I say, no, you fool. It was the withdrawals. It wasn't your recurring depression,
right.
and they don't know. They are not aware. So this is the medication, Spellbinding. They're not even, and you can call it dependency, but it's not like it's different than in like addicts, because some at some point they do want to quit, but they can't, because there is like physical dependency on the physical level when your body actually can function, and it needs to go through this, but you need to be aware what's going on. Without this, you just think that it's and you're being told, reassured by the doctor that it's
Right.
reoccurring anxiety, depression. So
Right.
with antidepressants, you have they are pro-depressive drugs, and with anxiolytics, like they're pro-anxiety, because in the long run they strengthen the anxiety, and the antidepressants increase the depressive symptoms because of
That's
the
true.
messing up of the serotonin. So it's
That's
like it's
true.
a yeah.
It's kind of the great irony of all of this that
Yes,
these drugs can actually cause a chemical imbalance that
we
was not
do.
there in the first place. And I
How
know
could
you
they
prob
don't? I mean,
right,
they're
right.
interfering with the most fragile system in our body, which is serotonin system. It's not only in the brain. It's serotonin receptors are in the heart, in the liver, in the guts. They're everywhere, and it's
You are
you're playing with fire. And how can you
mhm.
expect different, outcome? But
Yeah,
now
it's
we know better. But you know, I wish we were so smart like 15 years ago.
I know, right? But luckily you personally are going to, I think, maybe prevent other people from going too far down the path that you
I do
were
hope
on.
so. That's my goal, because I
Right.
don't wish this to anyone, to fall into this rabbit hole, because my baseline problem, the anxiety I had back then, it was like piece of cake. It was nothing
Mm,
compared to what I've been through after discontinuation. And people most many people are lifetimers with those medications.
right,
So
right.
because they cannot even grasp the idea of quitting them, because they know they have tasted what's on the other side, and they need to go through this. So it's like uh it need you need to be prepared for this, and have some mental strength and determination, because but the it's worth it. The point is, for everyone who's watching this, that it's worth it to to survive this, and to wait, and to not to end this, because on the other hand, there is the end of the tunnel, and the symptoms eventually are subsiding, and you are improving. So it's very worth to not to give up, because I work with other people who are going for drug withdrawal. It's difficult even to convince those people to carry on, to continue. And every time I have about to have another session, or I'm afraid if they gonna show up, if they're still alive, because this is we're talking about life and death here, not about some minor mood changes. It's
Right,
yeah, it's
right.
it's difficult.
But it's worth it, you say.